Comes to the near side off a Rask. Blues get it. Barbashev to Sundqvist. He launched it wide. Delayed penalty against Boston. Gunnarsson to O'Reilly. To Gunnarsson. He scores! Boom, boom, Gunnarsson! Bring out the Zamboni. The Blues win game 2. 3-2 the final. They're coming home tied at 1.
Get ready to hear some noise tonight. You're just seconds away from Let's Go Blues Radio.
No doubt about it, eh? You're listening to Kurt, Bill, and Jeff on Let's Go Blues Radio, the original St. Louis Blues hockey fan podcast. Take it away, boys.
Come on, St. Louis hockey fans, stand up and cheer. The Blues are back strong. This is our year. It's the Blues' turn now.
I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Yeah, it's the Blues' turn now. That Al McKinnon slap shot, you know we can't lose. We are St. Louis, the home of the Blues. Come on, St. Louis. Let's go Blues. Come on, St. Louis. Come on, St. Louis.
Let's do that hockey.
Come on, St. Louis. All over the hockey universe, the note is the news. Everybody's digging on the St. Louis.
Is this thing on? Hello? Check, 1, 2. Welcome to season 7, episode 50 of Let's Go Blues Radio. This is the first time we've had an episode 50. There's a bunch of milestones in blues country this week, I'm telling you. We're broadcasting live on Thursday, I've got 30th. My 30th, 2019. This is franchise episode number 183 all time. Your hosts tonight are yours truly, Kurt Price, Bill Day, and Jeff Ponder. And we'll be with you for the next little while talking St. Louis Blues hockey in the first 2 games of their Stanley Cup final matchup versus the team everyone loves to hate. I mean, literally almost everyone loves to hate, the Boston Bruins. To interact with us on social media, follow the show on Twitter at LGB Radio. Myself is at Kurt Price, Bill is at Billy Blue Note, and Jeff is at jponder94. Also follow the show on Instagram, like us on Facebook, and the website is letsgoblues.com, where you can listen to past episodes, browse the discussion forum, as well as get some cool shirts, mugs, and stickers. Whew. Okay.
That was a mouthful.
I did one breath, too. That was one take, like in the movies. The whole scene in one take. It's impressive. One breath.
And you did it live.
I did it live. Doing it live. Who else does the show live? Nobody, except for radio folks. All these other podcasters recording their show and doing it later. What's that about? That's easy.
God, I hate podcasters.
Such a surly bunch.
Mm-hmm.
Bunch of posers. Jeff, you've been talking to some folks lately about
lots of talking.
For your upcoming summer series spiel.
Yeah. So first of all, I don't know if I've mentioned this on the show before or not. We're not used to recording shows well into May, at least live shows. So I'm glad we are. But yeah, it's definitely been interesting because when I started the idea that I was going to do 30 episodes this summer, the idea kind of came to be in December when it was like, oh, well, the Blues aren't going to make the playoffs. So I got to fill time from April to October. Yeah, not the case. We're talking mid-June to early October. So 30 shows are going to be crammed in there. I've already done a little bit of the scheduling, and we're looking at 2 shows a week, fellas. That's going to be interesting. It's going to be good, fun work for me. So glad I decided to do this project. On the 1 year that the Blues actually go to the Stanley Cup final.
Well, if you have to cut it down, just go with only the playoff teams.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking, I don't know. I'll figure it out. But like I said, if we have to do two shows a week, I guess, who's really going to complain about Blues content twice a week in the middle of September, We'll see. But no, it's been fun. I had a Penguins guy on earlier this week. We recorded our segment. Lots of history there. Tomorrow is the first Division 1 I'm doing. That'll be Chicago Blackhawks. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to that one.
And this is the Behind Enemy Lines
Yes.
portion of the show, the summer show. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, new listeners. What this is going to be is once the season is over, I'm going to have somebody. Well, it's typically a podcaster, maybe another writer from another team, and we're going to discuss the Blues' history with said team. So that's what this is. I'm doing the Blackhawks one tomorrow. That's going to be a lot of fun. I fill out talking points before each one, and I'll admit when I'm doing the Florida Panthers, it's like, oh my God, okay, Scott Mellenby. Okay, let's see. There's probably a couple trades there somewhere.
So you'll have like a 3 or 4 minute intro for the Panthers episode and like a 30-second show.
Yeah, pretty much. But no, it's surprising. Like the Edmonton Oilers was one where there's no history there between those two teams. There's a couple trades, a couple common players. But the guy I had on, a guy who's actually been on the show here before, Michael from Oilers Live, we went for a good hour just talking about Blues and Oilers history. So there is some pretty interesting stuff that comes up. The Blackhawks one, there's going to be a lot there. I made sure to specifically find someone who was old enough to remember the St. Patrick's Day Massacre. So that's going to be a fun one to discuss.
Thank God. And this is going to start, the week after the Blues season's over?
Yeah, right now I've got it slated, and I designed this months ago, so I'm not sure how exact this is, but I've got June 17th as the first time an episode will drop, as they say in the podcast industry.
Cool. Oh, man. Official beers of episode 183. Bill.
So I'm going with some of the good stuff. One of the nicer beers that I've recently acquired, Firestone Walker Parabola Imperial Stout.
Let me see the can or the bottle. I told you, it looks like a small wine bottle.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very detailed and
and the label is like textured. It's like that's fancy.
And it tastes damn good.
It looks good.
Barrel aged Imperial Stout. Didn't think I'd drink a lot of these, the end of May, but
no. Well, I went to Four Hands the other day, and they still had Absence of Light there. I mean, that's a winter beer and fall winter, and then they still got some.
Yeah.
So I'll have one of those. That was not it tastes better in the fall and winter.
Yeah.
I had it, and then we walked to Ballpark Village. From there, it was warm.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah,
It's not a beer you want to go out in the heat and walk around for a while after drinking. It kind of sits heavy with you. But it was fine.
Milk was a bad choice.
Ponder, what do you got?
First of all, Josh Webster in the chat here says he saw me at the first watch party Monday, standing in line for the concessions, looking down at his phone. Haha, I should have said something. Yeah, Josh, what the hell, man? Come up and say hi. Oh, the concession line was ridiculous. I would have really enjoyed having some conversation there. That sucked. We'll get to that in a little bit. So the beer that I'm going with is an old favorite, the Schlafly Pale Ale. Again, I'm sticking to what works. The Blues are winning, so I'm drinking the same beer because I'm a crazy person.
Mine is I've been suffering from allergies today, and I'm on medication right now, so I'm not going to be drinking. But this is the beer I was going to have tonight. Mother's Brewing Company's Three Blind Mice brown ale, and that's kind of an homage to the shit-tastic officiating in the NHL and the Department of Player Safety. All those folks making ruling decisions. They kind of. Back in the day when there were 3 officials on the ice, 2 linesmen and a referee, the Three Blind Mice thing was a thing. Right. Now there's 4. So
and it was the I think it's a song that's banned.
It is
in all NHL arenas, but yeah, I think the first time I ever heard that was when they used it as joke in Youngblood.
Yeah, yeah, Three Blind Mice. Chuckle.
Yeah.
That was before the big game.
Yeah,
between
Thunder Bay.
Yeah. Today in Blues history, courtesy of the @STL Blues history Twitter account, May 30th. what is this? 19. I didn't put it on the other. I put it on one note, it's not on the other. 1997. 1997, May 30th. Brent Johnson was traded to the St. Louis Blues by the Colorado Avalanche for a 3rd-round pick. Johnson had a 13-year career playing for the Blues, the Caps, the Penguins, and the Coyotes. He shares the NHL playoff record with 3 consecutive shutouts, which he accomplished in the 2002 playoffs versus the Blackhawks. Johnson's numbers with the Blues: 143 games played, 76 wins, 47 losses, 12 ties or OTLs, a .903 save percentage, .227 GAA, 12 shutouts. Playoff numbers with St. Louis: 5 wins, 6 losses. Get this: 5 wins, 6 losses, a .931 save percentage, and a .184 GAA, and he lost more than he won. If that doesn't sum up Blues playoff history,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like, okay, one aspect of needing to advance in the playoffs we had goaltending with Johnson, a short amount of time he played the playoffs,
Right.
and it
It
didn't get a lot else either.
Right. And those numbers are really,
Skewed by his 3
skewed,
shutouts, right? Sure.
Right.
I get it.
And I was at the game when the shutout streak broke and got a standing O.
Guys, so correct me if I'm wrong here, but Brent Johnson's probably the greatest goaltender in history, right? Because he had one really good series.
Yeah, he had a fantastic series. Nobody brings that up. He had a great series against the Blackhawks. Fantastic. Set records. Better than Allen had against
We'll need to put
Minnesota.
this in our pocket the next time we have to go to the
That
Jay Gallad
is an
argument.
excellent point. An excellent point.
So I actually I mentioned I'm doing the Blackhawks one here in a little bit for our summer shows, and so I've got some notes on that series. In that series, Eric Daze, Alexei Zhamnov, and Tyler Arneson, who was, I believe, that was their full top line, pointless in the series. That's impressive.
Well, what's impressive is Tyler Arneson as the top line player in the NHL.
Yeah, right.
That 3rd-round pick that we gave Colorado turned into defenseman Rick Barry, who played 197 games for Colorado, Pittsburgh, and Washington in his 5-year career. He had 2 goals, 13 assists, -6, 314 PIMs. Safe to say we won that trade. I mean, even though Johnson wasn't here a long time, but he did fine for us for a
He
while.
went on to one punch Rick DiPietro, so good for him.
That was with Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Some mildly interesting news before we get into the Blues and the Bruins first 2 games. But this is a nice little lead-in. This is from the Missouri History Museum's Twitter account, which is @MoHistoryMuseum. Did you know that Sam Adams Beer founder Jim Koch, is it Koch or Koch? Koch, Koch is Koch. I'll say Koch. Coke. Okay, Coke. Say Coke. Jim Koch used a recipe based off of his great-great-grandfather's recipe, which was from the Koch Brewery in St. Louis, which stood in St. Louis's Soulard neighborhood. So the Sam Adams recipe comes from St. Louis. There you go.
You're welcome, Boston.
You're
the beer
welcome.
capital of the United States.
It is. Take that, San Jose.
Yeah, Teal Town douchebags.
We were told that the beer should be arriving. Not too far. He's going to a beer festival to get some beers for us, and then he's going to ship them off. So we should be expecting it, I guess, in the next month.
Yeah.
But
so hold off on the douchebag comments.
Yeah, no. And he says he's doing it right, so us Missouri folk or St. Louis area folk can
understand what good
beer tastes like.
Beer is.
Yeah. And we talked about it before. There's a really, really kick-ass beer scene in St. Louis, so I doubt they're going to top that, but we'll see.
They won't. But hey, I encourage them to try.
No, I mean, give it your best shot. Stanley Cup Finals, Blues and Bruins, Game 1. For Game 1, I know Bill, you watched it at home, right?
I did.
I went to Ballpark Village for the watch party there, and Jeff, you went to Enterprise for the watch party there.
Apparently, so did Josh Webster.
Josh Webster did too, along with a bunch of other people to sell out the place.
Yeah.
So as far as Ballpark Village goes, it's always a good atmosphere there on game days. I like the atmosphere there, watching Blues games, huge screens, and lots of people cheering on. It's fun. But for Game 1 of the final, you had to plop down $25 just to get a seat at a table. And which no big deal. I wasn't planning on really sitting anyway. I was going to stand at whatever. but they crammed way too many people in there. I mean, I took some pictures. You couldn't move. I'm standing against the bar at the end of the bar against the bar because I want to stand either against the wall or against the bar. I didn't want to stand in the middle of the room for 3 hours, 4 hours, and it was just cramped. You couldn't move. You try to go to the bathroom, you've got to say "excuse me" 40 times to just try and squeeze. You're trying to squeeze through like sardines. It's nuts. I don't know how they were allowed to put that many people in there. I mean, if there were a fire or whatever worse or something, people are dying in there. It's going to be one of those nightclub fires that you hear about. You know, the 35 people died or whatever.
Yeah.
It was so nuts. You couldn't move, and people stepping on your feet, trying to get by, a constant line back and forth to the bathroom. And I swear to God, it seemed like 80% of the people there had just turned 21. They look so young, and they're spilling beer everywhere. It's like a bunch of noob drinkers. It's just, you know, I wore the mistake of wearing sandals. So I had, and it's like
Kurt.
every once in a while, feel like a little.
Oh my God, dude, you're sitting here telling us these people are noobs, and you talk about how you went in wearing sandals.
I had jeans and sandals on.
Who's the noob, buddy?
A noob. Do you know what hockey players wear after games, Ponder? Sandals. They fucking wear.
They don't go to nightclubs in sandals.
It's not a nightclub. It's a bar.
Well, you're going to a crowded area. What are you doing, man? You're better than that.
That was not my major gripe. That was not that. Me wearing sandals had nothing to do with it.
Maybe there's another podcast out there talking about how some noob was out wearing sandals. There
were a lot of sandals there. So, but yeah, and so I just, you know, I won't be doing that again. I'm not going to go back there for another final game. You just can't. It was hot, and it was just, yeah.
You hashtagged one of the pictures Fire Marshal.
Fire Marshal, yeah. Although they were asking questions, name that tune.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to raise your hand if you know the answer to it, what the name of the song was. They start playing it. And I was first to answer, and I forgot the name of the song.
Gloria.
No, it wasn't Gloria.
Oh.
It was a 70s song. It was from the 70s. So like 80% of the people there didn't know what the fuck 70s songs are. But so yeah, I won a free beer from guessing a song right. So that was that.
What kind of beer did you win?
I had, what did I have? What the fuck did I have? Was it a vanilla porter? I forgot. I can't remember. I was too pissed off everything.
Free beer.
So
it sucks.
I heard good things about the watch party at Enterprise, Jeff. It was a good time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why you just talked so long about Ballpark Village. I think what everybody really wants to hear about is the watch party at Day Manor. How did that go, Bill?
It was a sad affair.
Enterprise was fantastic. I think Josh says the thing about watching at Enterprise is no pregame, and you can't hear what the announcers are saying during the replays. He's right. During the replays, they kind of shut down the audio a little bit, and they brought up the music inside the arena, which, I'm okay with. I don't need to hear I'm not there to hear Mike Emmerich as much as I enjoy his calls. The atmosphere was fantastic. The second goal was scored. The place just went nuts. People were treating it like it was a live game. I mean, I loved it because people actually weren't coming up to the seats when play was going, and then when the play would stop, people would start walking up to their seats. And I was like, "That's awesome. That's great." No, it was a lot of fun. The only thing that sucked, and this is my suggestion to. Because they're probably going to do it for this next game, but for Game 6 or Game 5, what I would recommend to the good people at Enterprise Center, charge $10 more, charge $20 instead of 10, and hire some more concession workers. Holy cow! There was one concession stand that I was at. I was down in about 105 area. They had one concession stand. There was 3 people working the entire concession stand.
Well, a lot of times they'll hire volunteers. They'll have a few staff members, but half or over half the staff running the registers would be volunteers.
I think they were all employees.
See, they could have done volunteer.
I know. And I mean, with them selling out the arena, you would think they would treat that like it's a real home game. And it was not treated that way. It was, I mean, so I got in line. We got to our seats. We sat down, looked at my wife. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go get us stuff to drink. And, you want anything? No, I'm fine. I get outside. I mean, the lines are like wrapping, like to go along the back wall all the way across the concourse. And so I text her and I'm like, hey, I'm going to be here a while. Anything you want right now, let's just go ahead and get it for the rest of the night. I mean, it was crazy. And I did. It was 6:30. I got back to my seat at like 6:58. I was almost in line for a half hour. It was nuts.
We're watching Rock'em Sock'em hockey here in the background. And there's a Probert. Is it Craig Cox?
Yeah, Craig Cox.
Holy shit, former Blue Craig Cox.
Yeah.
He
as a Canuck.
Yeah. That was one of the longest fights I've ever seen. And the officials let him go.
Yeah.
Probert and Cox. That was a great one. Anyway.
Josh Webster, I agree with him on this too. He said the lines to get into Enterprise were crazy. Yeah, they were. They they had each entrance was open, but they only had, at least from what I saw, 2 of the actual lines to get in open, to where people are only going through 2 lines. There's typically like 6 or 7 or 8 at each entrance. So yeah, again, they had the entire 14th was closed, and the lines were wrapping all the way up 14th. It was nuts.
When I heard they sold it out, for some reason I was thinking they just opened the lower bowl, like they wouldn't do upper bowl, but no, they sold the entire place, and that was impressive. When I saw the video of the place sold out, I'm like, oh, they opened the upper bowl. Holy shit!
Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah, everything. Game 2 was that it was the loudest most people had ever experienced Enterprise, and there was no actual hockey there.
That's great.
No, it was great. I mean, I know that I just spent a couple minutes complaining there, but in terms of the in-game experience while the game's going on, while I'm in my seat, it was fantastic. And they had the Campbell Bowl on display. I don't know if they did in Game 2 as well, and that was pretty cool. And surprisingly, the line to see it was not long at all. My wife and I we jumped in, we got a picture with it. I mean, it was 3 minutes. So that was pretty cool. I mean, I've seen the Stanley Cup in person. That's obviously more important, but I've never actually even thought about getting a good look at the Campbell Bowl. So it was kind of cool just taking a minute to be happy with the fact that it's inside Enterprise Center.
You've been to the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto?
Oh yeah.
The Campbell Bowl isn't there?
No, it's there.
No, I didn't think. I thought you said you hadn't seen it before.
No. What I'm saying is really take in the fact, because for me, you go to the Hockey Hall of Fame, you see everything. The Art Ross, everything's there.
Sure.
But the fact that it was in Enterprise Center made it a little more cool. Hey, this is the Blues. This belongs to Enterprise Center.
The Bruins showed Robert Kraft on the Jumbotron. He was there at the game, and Chris Kerber on air. Did you guys hear what he said about this?
I saw it in Keith Olbermann's tweet.
So, basically, I'm paraphrasing here. Well, there's one video Robert Kraft doesn't mind everyone seeing. And you know what? And they showed who was it? Belichick on the screen. They brought him in to wave a huge flag and be on the screen as for motivator, I guess, whatever, for before Game 2. And yeah, they just want to bring in people that just everybody hates. I mean, they're Boston guys. I get it. Belichick's a legend there, but I mean, whatever. But to show Kraft, jeez. I mean, that guy. There's no good PR surrounding him right now at all.
Yeah, I'm shocked by that. I'm trying to think of a St. Louis figure who's not exactly in great graces right now, but
maybe if they Nelly right after that controversy with the sexual assault that was like,
could you imagine the Cardinals showing him on the big screen after that happened? No way.
A month or two after it happened. Yeah, that'd be kind of weird. I think he was clear to that though, or the charges were dropped or something.
Yeah. I think the only thing that would be current right now, and nobody outside of St. Louis would get it, is Steve Stenger.
That's true. Steve Stenger. That's a bad one. So Game 1, this wasn't a good game for the Blues. Although it started off just fine. First period, played pretty even in the first period. I thought. Jumped out 1-0 on a goal by Braden Shen. Some good work by the Blues on the board. Shen fires the puck on net, rebounds out the other side. Bouwmeester grabs the loose puck, fires a shot/pass to Schwartz at the side of the net, ricochets off his skate because the pass was in his skates, out to Shen at the point, who was being covered by Marchand, who, if you watch the replay, Marchand doesn't react to the puck coming out to the point at all. He just stands there.
He's having a great series.
Yeah, I know,
so
isn't he? Of all guys that you wish to have a shitty series, Marchand's having one. Empty net goal notwithstanding. But he, and then I guess maybe he's just standing there because now Shen, the guy he was on at the point, goes in. Now they got a chance for a 2-1 the other way if they can get a break, which they would have, but still. And then Shen fires one past Rask, blocker side. That one that Rask saw, he just beat him. So that was and the crowd goes wild at Enterprise and Ballpark Village. That was a fun, and as much as I complain about Ballpark Village, it was loud as shit in there. Oh my God. It just nuts. It was so fantastic for that goal.
Oh, the Enterprise was the same. We went absolutely bonkers. I mean, people were hugging and high-fiving like we just won the cup. It was great. And by the way, oh man, people are sure telling us of all the St. Louis people we could have mentioned. Leonard Little, Lawrence Phillips, Eric Wright, and Steve Kroenke.
Oh, yes. We have a whole bunch. That's true. Yeah,
we do.
We kind of like showing Stan. Well, Stan Kroenke is not here anymore. I mean, he has a home in Missouri still, does he? No, whatever.
I don't know. Who cares?
He's got the entire.
But no, I want to add. I mean, obviously the goal was important, and you said it was a fairly even period. I loved the way the Blues came out in this game. I thought they came out playing their game. They came out controlling. They were forechecking like crazy. I mean, if that first period would have been how the whole game would have went, I think the Blues would have blown them out. They looked so good, and I think Boston was kind of shocked at the type of game that St. Louis brought with them into their home arena, and it was just Boston wasn't ready for them. And obviously, and I said this, and I'm sure other people were saying it too. That. Okay, Boston's going to wake up a little bit in the second and third period. They've had 10 days off. There's a little bit of rust there. Things changed a little bit. We'll get to that. But man, you got to be happy with the way that first period went for the Blues.
Yeah, it was. They played their game like we had seen. And of course, Boston did look rusty.
Yeah, which was to be expected. I think. I mean, those were the numbers coming in.
Right. But their game plan was there. Like you said, Bouwmeester pinching down, defense activated. That was key, and
that's been key all playoffs.
Right. So after the 21st minute of the game, that stopped happening.
Yeah. Well, I think Backus said between periods that they need to get their shit in gear. And then when a minute into the second period, Tarasenko scores. This was beautiful. This was, I mean, this
Great
is
set up by Pasternak.
Oh my God. This is textbook how to take advantage quickly of a turnover. Tic tac on the tape and off. No one's carries the puck for more than a half second. Turnover behind the net by Pasternak. Left the puck for Chara. Chara had curled in front of the net. Shen swoops in, grabs loose puck. Tarasenko reads the play and darts to the slot. Shen slips a great pass right on his tape to Tarasenko, who buries a one-timer. Thank God Tarasenko on the little snap one-timer. Beats Rask blocker side again. So blocker side. So and then it's just 2-0 Blues. And then I think the volume level at Ballpark Village was topped. After the first goal was topped by the crowd. The second goal, because now we're thinking 2-0. We're rolling. I mean, you expect Boston to make some adjustments in the intermission and come out hard, and we score first in the second. Forget about it. Your mind gets to wander, and you're like, okay, we've got this game. It's early in the game, but still 2-0. My God.
I'm sure the people were going crazy over a day manner as well over that, because I mean that I'm sure the volume level was ridiculous over there, right, Bill?
Yes, it was. The dogs didn't take it.
No, we'll get into, I'm sure, more dog issues when we get into game 2, because I had one myself. But we'll talk about that later. But no,
they're still talking about embarrassing things from Missouri in the YouTube chat. The flood of '93, Rick Ankiel's death.
But no, dude, I'm with you, man. When they scored this goal, it was this feeling overtook, and I think I was not the only one. It was felt by everyone around me at Enterprise Center. They're going to do this. You know, I know last week I said the Blues in 4 because they're playing pissed off and they're playing motivated. They go up 2-0, and you're saying, well, fuck, that's it. Close the curtain on this game. The Blues have it. I mean, the way Binnington looked and the way the defense looked, how the Blues were just controlling and dominating play, they're not coming back from this. And it was beautiful. You got this feeling inside of yourself like, this is it. This is the real thing. We're about to see the Blues win their first Stanley Cup final game. And it was such an awesome feeling that we had for about 45 seconds.
Yeah, and I tweeted out too that before the series started that Boston's not going to know what hit them. All these people predicting Boston in a short series. Boston's going to win a short series. I'm like, that's not going to happen. I mean, I was so confident that Boston's going to just not going to know what hit them, and we jump out 2-0. I'm like, I knew it. I fucking knew it. And then all of a sudden, then like you said, Jeff, from that point on, yeah, no, they turn things around.
12 minutes before the next Blues shot.
Yeah, I think they had 15 minutes total with no shots.
Yeah,
or no, 12 was 12.
Was,
okay,
I think almost 13.
Okay,
yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, and we only had 2 shots on net the rest of the period. So I guess 3 shots total.
Yeah, worst winds up being the worst playoff period that we've had probably since game 1 against the Sharks.
Possibly.
Maybe worse than that. Connor Clifton scores quickly just over a minute later after Tarasenko's goal. Clifton crashes the net with Bertuzzo on him. You know what? Yeah, Bertuzzo could have tied him up better, but he was on him. He had his stick tied up, just not good enough. I mean, I thought this was a nice play by Boston. I thought they executed it very well. I mean, he fought through that stick check, and he was able to get just enough of it to flip it up in the air over past Binnington.
And Binnington almost got it.
He did. He reached back with a stick and almost got it. He was challenging the shooter, which, and because Bertuzzo had his guy, which is what you want him to do, he has to do that. But I mean, it was a good play. I mean, it was a good. I saw it on the screen. I'm like, man, it was a nice play. You can't complain too much, I guess, about.
Yeah, I can't not at least be a little like, come on, Bertuzzo, you're a big guy. Keep your body on him. Don't let him get a stick on that. But at the end of the day, you do have to tip your cap to some of the plays these guys can make, not just the Blues, but the Bruins. I mean, we'll talk about Tarasenko's goal in the second game here in a little bit, but it's goals like that where like the other team just says, well, we fucking did everything we could to stop those guys, and they still just found a way to put it in the back of the net.
They're good hockey players over there
for a reason.
And they're going to make good plays once in a while, and they're going to result in goals. And there's not really a whole lot you can do about some of them. So I think this was one of those plays where Bertuzzo was with him, but they made a good play. And then McAvoy ties the game at 2-2. This one hurts for me.
Absolutely. I mean, we've been doing so well killing all the penalties that we took, and it's a power play goal that McAvoy scores, but it's completely unconventional. It's 1-on-3, and he beats everybody with a deflected shot through the slot.
Yeah,
right.
And Binnington had just made a hell of a save in a sequence right before that.
Yes, and I think the shot deflection came like right when he shot it. He lets it go, and it's like as he's letting it go, it hits a stick, and it's kind of probably threw up Binnington a little bit, but. Yeah, I didn't, whatever.
I feel like Binnington, and Bill, please correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like we always talk about how Binnington makes himself big, and that's what you want in especially a bigger goalie. I feel like he really didn't do that on that play, that he kind of hunched when he saw the shot get deflected or when the shot was taken, and just didn't take up as much of the net as he could. Am I reading that right?
I don't know. I mean, he's reacting to the shot. It was a good, quick shot, and it was deflected into a difficult area. I mean,
just over the pad. It skimmed
pad.
over it hit his pad.
Right.
That ticked off the pad.
Right, but the way Binnington plays with glove up so high, which is what makes him so effective in this day and age. It was just unfortunately the right deflection, and from Boston's perspective, the right deflection at the right spot. I don't know that Binnington could do a whole lot with that one.
So in the third period, Crowley puts the Blues on top, 5:21 into the third. A turnover by Bertuzzo at center, a long pass up the ice to center to turnover. Binnington couldn't hold on to the long shot that came his way. After that, it was just an excellent execution by the Bruins again. This goal was the most impressive out of all three for Boston. The second goal wasn't impressive; it was kind of a fluky thing. But this goal, I mean, to be able to have the guy on you, become blanketed by the defenseman, be able to stop the puck with your skate, kick it to your blade, and then put it near post before Binnington gets over. That's a nice goal. I mean, do you say Binnington could have gotten over?
Well, he himself.
Well, you know what? The way it looked, I mean, it was more like a whip pass kind of thing, a turnaround whip pass, and he's got to be expecting a whip shot on net, right? So he's down for that, and then it goes across, so he's not expecting the pass,
right? And he said, that's my puck. I should have had it.
Okay.
I mean, he took responsibility for it, but I mean, in all honesty, that whole play's on Joel Edmondson.
Well, I think
100%.
Terrible. He has half the rink to skate, and he tries to make a pass that he telegraphs. And Connor,
is that Bertuzzo or Edmondson?
That was
Edmondson. It was Edmondson.
Okay.
And Connor Clifton read it and brought it back the other way, and set the whole thing up. And Edmondson also, instead of getting down early and taking the crease away, he that puck went through him to Corrali.
Yeah, that was all in all. Bad play by Edmondson. I mean, he's standing at, like you said, he's standing at the in his goalie slot, and he tries to make this home run pass. Dude, skate the puck. I mean, you can't. That's going to be telegraphed by any NHL player. There's enough time for them to get back and read that play, and then the tie a stick up, man.
I'm all for moving the puck way up the ice quickly, because you can pass it faster than you can skate it. But to do that, you got to be sure. I mean, But
and I don't think he was.
Well, no, it wasn't a good pass. I mean, it was. He could have banked off the boards maybe, but whatever. But I think what Binnington was probably upset because he didn't control that shot. He tried to catch it, and he bobbled it, and it flipped out, and then they scored after.
Yeah, but at the same time, your goalie's not going to cover everything, and you have to rely on your defenseman to clear the crease.
That Corrali's shot,
he should have had it.
He should have had it.
Okay, I thought he should have had the.
He didn't react quick enough to get across the crease and cover. Usually that's the save. He's made a couple of saves like that on Pasternak going, not that it was the same caliber of shot or same speed. I mean, it was a very in close tight kind of, it felt kind of like a broken play kind of goal, but like you said, whipped across. Corrali corralled it, lived up to his name, and put it in.
It almost looked like
post to post in the Dallas series too.
Yeah,
I mean, we had that one.
That was more wraparounds,
right? But it was still going. He was still going one for the other and didn't get across in time.
It almost looked like Binnington got stuck when he was trying to go across. Like he tried to slide it first and he couldn't, so he tried to really push his body across instead of his leg. Again, maybe I'm reading that wrong, but it was a weird play for him. It looked like he kind of got maybe stuck in a rivet or something. It was very strange. But yeah, I'm all for that being an Edmondson. That's an Edmondson mistake. You gotta tie the stick up. When the puck's at the guy's skate, you gotta poke it out. You gotta keep it tied up in his skate or something. You can't let him get that shot off.
Yeah, and my reaction was, if Dunn's healthy, he's coming back in for Edmondson, because that's egregious. And Edmondson just had a bad all around game. I mean,
Yeah,
the
he did.
penalty he took early on in the game.
He's so up and down.
Yeah.
He's so up and down. And so with the score 3-2, we'd be remiss if we didn't discuss the Perron scuffle in front of Rask with Krug, and then Krug skates balls to the wall down the ice and lights up Thomas.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if I've seen what you guys take on this. What are your thoughts on the play as far as well, was it charging? Because the question is, was it a charge? Was it not a charge? There are some people up in arms saying it was a charge. How is it not a charge? Other people are saying no, it's not a charge. So what do you guys? What say you?
So I followed your back and forth with Hoosier Blue on Twitter.
I thought it was a good discussion.
I thought it was too, and I've always that was my interpretation, or my understanding, rather, not my interpretation, but my understanding of the rule was that you can't skate that distance. I know
At that speed,
right? He coasted basically one stride in the blue line, and he coasted into Thomas, but he was intent on lighting somebody up,
right?
And
he
can't go the length of the ice and hit somebody and not be a charging penalty,
right? And I don't have the rule written down here, but basically there's two aspects of it: to traveling a distance, and then the force of the hit. So you can't travel much farther on the ice. This is my take on it. And Jeff, you can weigh in with your take in a second here. So the Perron and Krug have the scuffle in front. Krug's pissed off, rightfully so. They had Perron. The play should have been blown dead there. Both guys should have went off.
Yeah.
Perron, Krug cross checks Perron, and then from Perron slashes him back. Krug slashes Perron, and then they start to push and shove and wrestle, and then Perron jumps on his back and rips his helmet off, and they fall to the ground, and then they get up, get separated. Perron goes to the bench, and Krug skates balls to the wall after Perron. You can see he goes after Perron, and then he peels off and he just skates down the ice with eyes on Thomas, and then he lights up Thomas, who had just passed the puck off. So, you can't travel much farther down on the ice to make a hit, and you can't hit a guy much harder than he hit Thomas. So, and that is the textbook definition of a charge: traveling a distance and then hitting a guy with a force. You can't. They don't want guys getting hit out of left field by runaway train. That's the whole point of the rule.
Yeah.
It's a dangerous play. Guys can get killed. So, and it wasn't anything. It was no penalty in the play. A lot of people said that he coasted, and he did. He coasted the last 15 feet or so. Yeah. 10, 15 feet, but that's how you hit people, though. I mean, you never see a guy's striding up until the point of impact. You stride, and then you coast to kind of line up the hit, and then you throw your shoulder in. Or your hip check or whatever. That's kind of how you do it. So coasting it, people say, well, he coasted at the end. So what? He still traveled a great distance at a great amount of speed, and then lit up a Thomas. Coasting has nothing to do with it. So I don't know. I
think that's where we're going to disagree.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I do feel like, yes, I see your point in the traveling a great distance, and but I think he was mostly skating, and actually LSGAE Scuba, that's what we call him, right?
Right.
In our YouTube chat, he said he was skating to get back into play, to be fair, and it wasn't late, questionable at best. So I actually agree with him there. I think it was questionable. If they would have called the charge, I wouldn't have been like, oh, that's terrible. But I do think he did coast enough to warrant not getting a call. I think if you let Perron and him go in that play before that, then you let that go. Now, having said that, I think in the moment of the game, what's happening in the game, what other calls have been let go, what other calls have been made, you can make the case either way that okay, we're going to let that one go, or we're going to call that one. The way they were calling the Blues on hooks, on the bullshit slash, or the slash on Shen, the way they were calling those plays, I probably would have still called that a charge. But I'm not in terms of what had happened right before that and them deciding not to call Krug and Perron. I wouldn't call that a charge. I'm not going to make a penalty there because they already let so much go right before that. But
okay, so I'll ask you this. So you said that. So you feel that the coasting at the end kind of negates the idea that it's a charging call. Is that's your take more or less?
Yeah.
Okay. Why is that? I'm just curious because I'm just saying by the letter of the rule, it doesn't mention anything about striding or coasting. It's just distance traveled at and then which is a result of great speed, which he had.
The NHL used to have I don't know if they still do. You can look it up on YouTube. They used to have a video on what each penalty technically really was, and they showed you actual plays of what that penalty is. And if you looked up charging back on those old videos, there was much longer strides right before the hit. I mean, Cam Jansen, let's be honest, was the king of the charge. That guy would full on stride until he would hit someone in the head. And he would get called for charging almost every hit because it was warranted. I feel like Krug did let up enough to where it wasn't truly a textbook charge.
Well, okay. Well, to be honest, it's interesting because usually charging calls aren't called based on the rule book anyway. The charging call is almost always when you leave your feet. They'll call that a charge. And because if you look online for videos of examples of charging, like you said, I did that and I found a lot of them. They were all talking about players leaving their feet, which is interesting because that is nowhere in the rule book under charging. It doesn't say anything about a player has to leave his feet or if he leaves his feet during a hit as a charge. But that's generally what they call a charge as on the ice today.
Yeah, it's true. And if anybody wants to make that argument, Krug did leave his feet after the hit.
Right. Exactly. No, he didn't leave his feet. I thought.
I know you're not.
At the time of the hit, I thought, oh my God, what a fantastic hit. Oh my God, that was a great hit. And that's a replay at ice level. And the one that was behind the play. And I just saw him just balls to the wall. And I'm like, oh shit. He was skating hard all the way down the ice. And then he coasted and then he let it Thomas. I'm like, that's got to be a charge. I look at the rule and so okay. So we disagree a little bit.
Well, the way that I see it, and again, I'm with Scuba on this. I feel like Krug's a hard skater. That guy's always going balls to the wall. You watch him play, that's the way he plays. And I feel like he really was trying to get back into the play. But, hey, maybe that's where we disagree is the fact that I feel like he was getting back into the play. Maybe you feel like he was going out to hit somebody.
No, I mean, we're judging intent here, which is hard to do, and the officials have to do it too on the ice for a lot of different things. But so you really can't say with any great degree of certainty what his intent was. But based on everything that has happened and the way he was skating, it didn't look like he was skating to get back in the play. It looked like he was going to light somebody up because he was making a beeline for Perron, and then Perron, he's on the bench. I can't hit him. He's like 1 foot off the ice, getting ready to go over the boards. So he peels and he's like, I'm going to hit somebody. I'm going to hit Thomas. That was my interpretation of his intent. So whether or not that's right or not, I don't know, but that's the way I saw it.
Yeah, so that's probably where we differ. I feel like if I agreed with you that he was going to hit somebody, then I'd probably agree with you that that's probably a charge.
Yeah. I was going to say what I would like to have seen is when Perron decided to go to the bench, slow up a little, and while Krug is skating by him, get stick in the nuts.
Perron didn't even look back.
Right. No.
He didn't see him.
He just peeled off and went to the bench.
Yeah. He didn't see the hit even.
So, we've covered the charge, but what about the stare down?
Yeah. Right. And that's another thing too, is that, Bennington, he skates by Bennington after the hit, and he just stares down Bennington. And Bennington said after the game that he was, his eyes were dilated and bugged out, and he was he's high on something.
Yeah, don't know if he's on something.
Yeah. So, and that to me, I mean, kind of leads to the fact that he was like enraged says to me that he wasn't just skating back into the play. He was wanting to destroy somebody. He was out for blood. So, but we'll never know because he'll never say.
No.
And then the empty net goal by Marchand with under 2 minutes to go. Blues pulled their goalie and kind of looked awful with the goalie pulled.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so what we heard after the game is, after the first, 21 minutes of the game, we were just spread out too far apart. Well, that was definitely obvious on the empty net goal. They had no idea. There was no coordination. Too much of a gap between everybody in the defensive zone. Bad turnover.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a bad play by Perron on that to just throw the puck up the board. I mean, you've got time. He just whipped it up the boards. I mean,
Perron's had a bad series to this point.
Well, yeah, and so was Marchand. So
yeah, and I'm with the good Price brother here, Keith Price. I don't even know Keith, but I'm gonna call him the good Price brother. He says not a fan of pulling the goalie that early. I'm with you. I think it was about 2:15 left, 2:13 maybe, when Berube decided to pull the goalie.
There was an offensive face-off though.
Yeah, but I feel like the Blues had not. And now, okay, here's the thing: if the Blues had played like they did in the first period for a couple minutes before that, I would say, okay, yeah, pull the goalie. 2:13 left. The Blues did not have great offensive zone pressure before that. The Bruins were having some easy outs. The Blues were making some dumb plays. You mentioned Perron's play. I feel like when your team is not hemming the other team in and putting them back on their heels, why pull the goalie that early? You should wait, because if anything, all you're doing is you're giving them the empty net, because Boston's been able to grab the puck every chance they get. So if the Blues had been a little stronger before that, I'm okay with them pulling him, but I was not happy with that, with the way they'd been playing right before they pulled him.
I would counter that with the idea that they have not been able to sustain any offensive zone pressure. So we've got an offensive zone face-off. Let's get the man advantage and see if we can have that help us to get that offensive zone pressure when we need it. Because they might not get another offensive zone, a face-off the rest of the game. But that's so. I mean, I don't like pulling the goal. I get nervous when the goalie's pulled outside of 2 minutes anyway. But you see teams do it all the time. To
be honest, the Blues have been terrible
with the extra attacker. Yeah,
with the extra attacker, it's been that way. I know early on in the playoffs, there was somebody threw out a stat that the opportune time to pull the goalie when you're down by 2 is like 3 minutes 50 seconds to go.
Well, that's been down by 2. Yeah,
by 2.
Right, sure.
Down by 1, pull them at the point you do.
Minute and a half.
Yeah, as a goalie, I always hated being pulled, and
it's because you're losing.
Seeing that too, but seeing a puck go into the empty net.
Oh yeah.
Let me do my
seeing a puck
job.
Go into the empty net with like a minute something left too.
Yeah,
that sucks.
Right.
So that's like, we fucked that up.
We shat our pants.
Yeah. So, but I mean that this game, Boston wins 4-2. This game was not didn't surprise me. Based on the way the Blues came out in previous series, they haven't looked good early on in a series yet in the playoffs, as good as they did later. So this shouldn't be surprising. It's disappointing, but it's not surprising. I don't know. The Bruins outshot the Blues 38-20. Had the edge on faceoffs 54% to 46. 5 power plays, converted 1. The Blues were 0 for 2 on the power play. And with this result, this guarantees I'll be at Disney World for at least one game. I'll be there for games 5 and 6 if necessary. The series will have to go 7 games if I'm to see the end of the series at home.
Wow.
Well, technically, this game didn't ensure anything. It's the next game that ensured it would go 5.
Right. After this game.
No. Well, okay. I'm sorry. If the Blues are going to win, that's what I meant. If the Blues are going to win the series, this ensures that I won't be here. It won't be over before I go to Disney.
But in this game, there's a lot to talk about here. I don't, a half-hour show is what I always tell myself, although it's really like a 5-hour show for us. So I'm not going to complain too much about everything, but the penalties, Bill mentioned this. You got to stay out of the box. A lot of those calls could go either way. I mean, you got the Edmondson high sticking against Backus was stupid. The Robert Thomas hook, I was not a fan of.
Did he make contact with Backus's face, or was it embellished?
I think it was embellished.
I did too, but you couldn't. There was no other reverse camera angle.
When I first saw it, I thought, fuck, Edmondson.
Yeah.
But then when I saw the replay, I thought, I don't even think he got him.
I don't either. Based on Edmondson's reaction, and it's hard to tell on the camera angle that we saw because the camera's behind Backus, right?
Right.
You can't really see if it makes contact with his face.
Yeah. So what I've said about all of the penalties in this game, I understand why they were called. The Blues put themselves in bad positions to be called for penalties. And I think that was the case with Edmondson. There's no definitive angle that we can see whether or not he hit him.
Right.
You know, the Blues fan and all of us is going to say, no, it was embellished.
Well, I just don't know. I'm not saying no, he didn't. I'm just saying I don't know.
I think Edmondson deserved a penalty for putting himself into that position and allowing
Stick
the
that up.
opportunity,
Sure.
right,
Stick that up.
to embellish. So let's go to the
Which he has done a lot this series so far.
So the Thomas play, which it seemed soft, but in even that split second that he got his stick up into the hands of Bergeron, it caused Bergeron to cough up the puck, and that's when the ref's arm go out like this. it's gonna get called every time because that's been the standard. No, not that there are standards in the playoffs, but that's been the standard for a long time now. Stick into the hands, turnover, penalty.
What I don't like is the fact that stick lifts will sometimes get called for a hook.
Mm-hmm.
That drives me bananas.
That drives me crazy too.
I mean, that's you can't. What are you supposed to do? Turn your stick upside down, toe on the ice, and then stick lift with the heel of your stick? No, you don't do that. You stick lift with the blade. And your stick kind of hooks theirs a little bit from underneath. And sometimes that gets called as a hook if they can't break free from the stick lift right away.
You guys grew up playing might hockey. We were taught early on that's better than clamping down on the player's stick because they'll call that hooking. Well, now they're calling stickless hooking all the time.
Yeah,
it's asinine. It's crazy. The thing that drives me crazy mostly about this game was Boston. The way they play, and I know that I'm probably just sounding like a bitchy Blues fan right now, but I feel like they draw a lot of picks. Like the way that they play and the way that Cassidy coaches them, they get a lot of plays where guys are just stepping in front of the Blues when the puck carrier is bringing the puck up, and they're not called for it. They're not called for interference or obstruction or whatever you want to call it, and it's just allowed. It's like 1990s hockey. And again, I know I sound like a bitchy fan, but there were so many times where I'm like, technically, that's interference. Like, that was an interference. Why are they not calling that? And I guess it's just because that's how Boston plays. That's how their standard has been set all year. So they're not calling it. But I feel like if the shoe were on the other foot, the Blues would be getting interference calls left and right. Maybe I'm reading that wrong, but I caught myself multiple times saying, how is that not an interference right there?
So game 2 happened last night, which it never fails after one game of the series. Someone asks online if this is a must-win game. So no, I mean, I didn't think it was a must-win game last night, but it was a really want to win, need to win would be great. Don't want to go down 2-0. So I think they needed to show something in this game. The Blues needed to show that the first period of game 1 was something that they could maintain over the course of an entire game. And they pretty much did that last night. I liked this game. I mean, they weren't without their mistakes last night, but this was a really, really good road game in the playoff. I don't think you can play a better road game in Boston than the Blues played last night. It was really good. Not because the Blues won in overtime, but I mean, they made all the which made all the sweeter. But this game was extremely entertaining. It had back and forth goals early, then a goaltending duel, lots of physical, nasty play. And I tweeted out, I think it was after the first period, this series is getting nasty, and there's going to be a number of players from each team that don't finish the series. And
prophetic.
Yeah, a little bit. So Robert Thomas did not play in this game. And Berube said it had nothing to do with the hit by Krug. I don't believe that for a second.
I don't know. I might. I'm hearing the wrist thing, and I thought he looked a little injured at the end of the San Jose series as well.
Well, yeah, he was hurt, and he wasn't participating in the practices and stuff in the pregame but he takes the hit, doesn't play. He plays 2 minutes the rest of the game, and then he's a scratch for the next game. So, I mean, the hit, I don't know, is it a coincidence that he got hit and then all of a sudden doesn't really play anymore? So, I mean, maybe it wasn't a concussion. Maybe it was the wrist. Maybe the hit irritated the wrist, but still from the hit, though. I mean, right? I don't know. Unless he heard it later, next shift. I don't know.
I mean, it could have been something where maybe the hit happens and I don't know. I didn't see how he landed. Maybe he landed on his wrist. Maybe he tried to pick himself up with the wrong wrist and aggravated it again. I don't know, but it is possible, obviously, that it could have been the hit, but it's definitely something that seemed like it was more lingering than something maybe he heard right off that hit.
Charlie Coyle put the Bruins up 1-0. So I guess, the team that scores first in both games lost. Charlie Coyle put the Bruins up 1-0, 4:44 into the first.
Power play goal.
Yeah. Was it?
Yeah.
This is a power play goal? Was it?
Well, now you got me wondering.
I don't think it was.
Doubting.
It was a power play goal. You're right, Bill. Very good.
I thought it was.
Okay. Okay.
Power play goal on a missed assignment by Oscar Sundqvist.
True.
Yeah. 5-hole goal. I thought the team got sucked over too much to the far side, leaving the front of the net open.
Right.
I thought it was a good shot by Coyle. I mean, you could tell he was trying to go 5-hole. Well, the puck was fluttering as it came to him on the ice, so you could tell he's like, okay, just nice, solid, low shot on net. Don't try to do anything fancy with it. And he did, and it was a gaping 5-hole. It was a cavern to shoot through.
Yeah, some people lost their shit on Twitter after that, or on Facebook, I guess it was. I think that's what you shared with us, Jeff.
Yeah, Sundqvist didn't slide over to cover the slot area after Parayko vacated the area to slide right. So, yeah,
tried to overload the boards and left the middle wide open.
Yeah, and they did that. It's a defensive breakdown, and it happened on the second goal too.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you pause this at about 15:18, right before whatever the actual time is, I'm terrible with math, but 15:18 left on the clock, you can see that, yeah, Sundqvist is missing an assignment there, but Petrangelo's not really covering anything there in the side. The Blues are pulled over into the corner there. It's
there
just
was a winger over there. There was a winger over there.
Yeah, but it's just it was a bad play, I think, altogether. I mean, everybody kind of picked on Sundqvist, and it probably is mostly Sundqvist that should have picked up Coyle. But I think that was just a breakdown in the I think the way the Bruins carried the puck in. I think it kind of surprised the Blues. I think it got them out of position. And they left Coyle wide open there in the slot. That's just bad coverage.
Yeah, I think when Parayko shifted over and vacated his position, I think the rest of the team has to rotate and shift and cover, and that didn't happen. That's to oversimplify it.
And it is a leaky goal from Binnington. I don't think it's particularly a bad goal, but it's a leaky goal.
Yeah, I mean, it was a nice shot by Coyle. It was a real nice play by Boston to take advantage of what the Blues did. Their execution on this play was top notch. So I'll give them credit for that. Then yeah, I agree that I mean, the stick wasn't on the ice. It was like the heel was on the ice, but the paddle was up a little bit, and it didn't. So
with his textbook as we have gotten used to Binnington playing, it was odd to see.
Right. No, I agree. And the second one too, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I think I know what I was thinking on the second one. But Bertuzzo scores off of Grzelcyk, which Grzelcyk.
Right. Sounded
well, I keep thinking of the bar in the Grove, Grzelcyk, when I say his name. You ever been to Grzelcyk?
No.
Grzelcyk. Not going to work here no more.
Grzelcyk. 5 minutes after Coyle's goal, Gunnarsson purposely shoots wide, which I had actually criticized the Blues of doing too much of, because I guess there weren't lanes to the net, so we're shooting wide, trying to get rebound, bounces off the corner and then plays that way. But they were doing that a lot. So I probably like a minute or two before this goal, I was like, quit shooting wide on purpose. It's not working. So they shot wide. Bozak gets the bounce off the boards and quickly slips a backhand pass through the low slot. Goes out the other side to the far boards. I think he was trying to hit Maroon. But where Bertuzzo skates in, puts on net off of Grizzlick's leg and top corner on Rask. It's funny how the goals go in that way. It was a beautiful deflection.
Yeah.
Grizzlick had a rough game.
He had a terribly rough game. And this is the one goal that hasn't gone blocker side, right?
Yeah,
right.
It went glove side.
That's right. I think I put in the notes that every goal had gone blocker side, but that one did not. Yeah. Every goal we put in.
Right.
By the way, this was also the play that Pat Maroon skates by the Bruins bench and tells them they're fucked.
Yeah.
Love it.
Fucked.
Yeah.
Love it.
God, such moxie, man. I love it.
No, that was a crazy the way that if you watch Rask's reaction, he really I think he saw it. I think he had it. And the minute it hit Grizzlick, completely lost sight of it because he flinched a good. I mean, it was almost a full second before he finally raised his arm up to try and make the save, and it was already well past him.
Well, you saw his hand. He gives one of these. His hands goes like, "What the fuck?" Don't. What are you fucking doing? That's an easy shot for me. Don't deflect it.
Right. God, I hope somebody takes you out of this game.
Although Maroon was behind him. Maroon was behind Grizzlick.
Oh yeah.
So I mean,
right, and
so Grizzlick
they exchange.
Face
washes.
Right. Maroon gave him a shot after they scored. But so in Grizzlick's defense, Maroon's behind him, so he's trying to block the shot so it didn't get through. So Maroon doesn't have a chance to tip it or get a rebound or whatever. So I get where he's going, but Rask is wasn't none too happy. Nordstrom puts the Bruins back on top 2-1. Another poor defensive responsibilities on their own end. Edmondson and Perron chase a loose puck behind the net with no help coming to cover in front, which is similar to the first goal. To Nordstrom, who Corrali gets the puck first behind the net, whips a pass in front to Nordstrom, who has all day and then some to go to his backhand, and then pretty sure Binnington thought he was going to try and go high because you see he kind of lifts up with his left pad,
right,
and which leaves his 5-hole wide open, and he just slides it through.
Yeah, I mean let's face it though. I mean most shooters are going high there. That was a great play by him to do that.
Yeah, no, and he had time. It's not like it was a quick bang bang play where he's just trying to stuff it in. He had time, so I get why he thought he was trying to go high, but it didn't look good at all. It looked terrible.
Yeah, such an egregious turnover by Perron though. Total opportunity to get the puck out of the zone, screws up the pass, tries to take it back behind the net, turn the puck over. Puck goes between his legs to Nordstrom, and he opens him up and scores.
Again, I don't think particularly a bad goal for Binnington, but a leaky goal.
Yeah, it looked bad. So
it's interesting because this was the first time, and it's funny because we talked a little bit about this this week between the three of us, that my thought was, oh God, don't take him out, don't put Allen in.
I was going to ask you, were you guys worried about Binnington at this point?
No.
No, me either.
Hell no.
I was not. No, I wasn't worried about Binnington. I was worried about them being worried about Binnington and making a change.
At this point, I knew social media would kind of freak out because that's what they do. Of course. But I wasn't worried about him getting pulled. I mean, it's 2 goals, I mean, I wasn't concerned, but I was like, okay, let's clean up the 5-hole shit. All right. Tighten up a little bit because
and I'll admit, man, this was like my first thought was, okay, this is the first time he's given up 2 goals in a row in the same period that he probably could have had. I was like, even though it's the Stanley Cup final and I don't want to do any tests like this, I was kind of excited to see how he was going to respond. And he responded pretty good.
He's a good responder.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, you would hope it would have come off the first goal, but the second goal he's in all alone too. He's not like it's a in tight chance. The guy's all alone on him.
Yeah,
that's tough.
So I will say that I never entertain the thought that, man, he's having a bad game. Maybe they should give him a break. And to see the reaction that Jeff shared from
friend of
from his friends on social media, like that they're like completely losing their shit.
Yeah, I know.
And thinking that he needs to come out and he's done.
No,
man.
Well, you know what? Should we have a little break and have our social media fails right now?
Why don't we do it? Seems appropriate.
Kurt, mark the tape, Kurt. We got to put the music in.
Okay, I'll just give one of these.
Just hum. Just hum. So this is in the St. Louis Blues Nation group on Facebook. Mr. Tim Newport, welcome to Social Media Fails. He says, Binnington is finished. He needs to be pulled. He is now horrible. No way a professional goaltender can be this bad. Okay, all right. That's a strong take. And then my friend, someone that Bill just mentioned, actually a goalie himself, and I hope he doesn't hear this because I'm about to feed him a compliment. A pretty good goalie in his own right. Surprising to see this because he has been a big Binnington fan, guy I play with in H&A. He says, my friend Cortland Frost says, put Allen in net. Bitter looks bad right now. But I will say that after the game, he edited that and put in edit. Nah, leave him in there.
Shit.
It's I mean, you know what? I mean, and we talk about this a lot, but it is you win a playoff game, you're going to win the cup. You lose a playoff game, you're going to get swept. Or lose the next 3 or whatever. The bipolar meter is just going bananas.
You're gonna get swept.
Jesus Christ!
You know, and you're gonna forfeit all draft picks. You're not gonna be allowed back in the playoffs next year.
Judge Houston's gonna make an appearance. Yeah,
I love. By the way, Keith Price comments here. Allen did make one save.
He did. He did that shot that came over the boards. When I saved somebody's face.
Yeah.
At least he's paying attention.
Yeah.
Get some work in.
Yeah.
No, that's man, I gotta say though, that yeah, I'm with you guys. I mean, we talked a little bit about this, that it's like fans are almost conditioned at this point with how the Blues have had the split goalies to just say, okay, bad goal, let's see somebody else come in then. Let's throw in the other goalie. That's not how it is. When you have a goalie that's your starter and that you expect to get you through the rough patches, that's not what you do. You keep in your starter and let him work it out. And luckily, that's exactly what the Blues did here, and we reaped the benefits of it.
There was a fellow podcaster, we talked about this on the show before, who wanted to see Allen get games just to get him in there. I'm like, what the fuck are you? I mean, that makes no sense whatsoever.
I'm just gonna point this out. It has nothing to do with your comment. Let's just say that I've been told before. Well, anyone could have a podcast.
That is true. So Tarasenko ties it up at 2-2 on we're still in the first period, by the way, of game 2.
A hell of a period.
I know, a lot went on. Schwartz and Tarasenko come in 2-on-1 against Zdeno Chara after Marchand takes himself out of the play. Thank you very much. And is now behind the play. Tarasenko feeds a nice pass over to Schwartz. They come down 2-on-1. Beautiful pass. And I thought for sure Schwartz was going back to Tarasenko, but he didn't. And he did what you see a lot of players do nowadays:
pass off pad.
And I hate it. I mean, I hate that it's used a lot. You see it a lot, which I get it. I get that you don't have a lot to shoot at. Throw it far pad, get a rebound. You've got guys crashing. Makes sense. But so that's exactly what Schwartz did. He wasn't shooting to score. If he scores, that's a bonus there. He was shooting to get a rebound for Tarasenko, which is interesting because it was 2-on-1. You'd think he would try to feather across. He was on the forehand,
right?
But
and that's the thing. Schwartz, his penchant has been to make the pass.
Calm down, Bill.
Move my commemorative post-dispatch issue there. How the West has won.
Good thing this bad boy is empty now.
Yeah,
but no, he Schwartz would typically pass up any shot opportunity, but he made the right play in that instance. That was the right time to use the pass off pad, and
that worked.
Right,
it worked to perfection.
And
although
Tarasenko, Tarasenko stuck with that. I mean, they were already, the NBCSN announcers were already slobbing on the knob of Rask and Chara for their defensive play, and Tarasenko buries
his Tarasenko shot, his initial shot, never got net, did it? Chara stopped it with a stick, and then Tarasenko stuck with it, and as he's falling away, grabs on his backhand,
back around, and
puts a backhander up. That is a difficult play. I don't know if anyone's played hockey and saw that play. He's falling away from the goal on his backhand and is able to put it 3/4 way at the net. I'm like, holy shit! That was
and you get lift on it. Like I can't lift a backhand when I'm on my feet, and he's falling down and lifts it. It's beautiful.
That's a TJ Oshie goal. That's what that is.
It was Vladimir Tarasenko that scored it, though.
I know, but it's a goal that TJ Oshie has scored. It reminds me of Oshie's style of play, falling and scoring.
But it was 91.
Yeah, I know. You're not getting this. Never mind. Over your head. Let's move on.
No, it was beautiful, and you guys mentioned the shot off or the pass off pad. I do that in my men's league games, and it drives my freaking teammates crazy because I just don't think they understand the point of it. I'm not trying to score. I'm trying to get you a pass, and they hate it. So to see it work, it made me want to text them all and say, "See, motherfuckers, it works."
It is a brilliant strategic play because typically you have the goalie moving and in subprime position to make a second save.
Right.
By the way, we should mention with Jesse Hill, he asked if the podcaster we were talking about was Lance. No, it is not Lance.
No.
We love Lance here on Let's Go Blues Radio.
It was Tendy and the Benchwarmer. I think that's the name of the show. It's a terrible show.
Yeah.
But
I've listened to it.
I listened to it a couple times. Just check it out. No, it's not. It's not a bad show. It's just, I mean, I don't agree with a lot of the takes they have. So but whatever.
It's not as bad as that Blues Hockey podcast.
Oh God, don't get me started. How much time you got? All right. So this
or the Blues NHL podcast.
The Blues NHL podcast.
Which one?
Yeah, those guys.
I get them confused. I don't know. They have the same name almost. So
Two Guys No Cup. We're gonna have to change their name soon.
Ooh,
pretty terrible too. They're all terrible.
To be fair, they don't have a cup.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could throw that one. That's funny. Second year they had a show, right?
Second year. Yeah, they had it last year.
Okay. This Tarasenko's goal was huge, not just because the Blues tied the game, and marks the second time in the game the Blues came back to tie it up. But the Bruins could have gotten a lot of momentum from this save. I thought. I thought. I mean, they were on the verge. The crowd went nuts when after the first. Tarasenko's shot was blocked, and looked like the 2-0 was thwarted, and the crowd went nuts for a second, and then Tarasenko put it in. So to take that momentum and that crowd energy away from Boston was a big deal. So
just how fucking clutch has Tarasenko been?
Oh my God. He's always been he's got good playoff numbers in his career, but yeah, he's been really good, especially lately. Against the Sharks and against the he had a series. He didn't start off too well, did he? Against Winnipeg, did he? He had a series where he only had like a point or two.
He was cold.
Yeah, but then he has turned it on, and he's been, what they say, your best players got to be your best players, and he's one of the best players right now. So that's been good to see.
Yeah, he's been. It's not only that he's been playing well; it's that he's been scoring big goals. It's not just he's coming in and scoring a goal, and then the Blues are losing 4-1. He's scoring the game-tying goals. He's scoring the goals that are getting the games off to a good start for the Blues. I mean, he's doing it all right now.
Well, these playoff games are going to be probably low-scoring games, rather low-scoring games in the final here. And the first game was 3-2 if you don't count the empty netter, and the second game was 3-2. So I mean, it's 3-2. I mean, you're gonna, if you get a goal, chances are it's gonna be a big one. So you got to come through because it's tough to score. I mean, and the Blues are working hard. So, and I think we saw a lot of that game too. They just didn't stop. They kept coming. They tried to. I mean, they did. There was no real lapses in their play that I saw. Much better response in the first period here to respond to the piss poor effort in periods 2 and 3 of game 1. So after seeing the first period in game 2, I'm like, fantastic. This
Yeah,
is great.
honestly, when they came out of the first period with a tie 2-2, I said that's a win for the Blues
Oh,
because
yeah.
Oh,
they went down 1-0 first of all on the road in a building they did not play well in for a full 60 minutes the game before. And then they come back and they tie this game 2-2 off just a nice goal by Tarasenko. I mean, one of those never say die goals that really always gets the bench going. And and then Binnington to bounce back the way he did and have a good, strong finish to the period after the Nordstrom goal. Huge. I was like, I was thinking this team needs a strong bounce back after the Nordstrom goal, even if they didn't score a goal. If they just came out and had pressure for the rest of the period and go and enter the second down 2-1, cool. Okay, maybe they got a chance. But then when Tarasenko scores and they exit the first period with a tie, I thought this is a win for them. This is massive.
So before the first period's over, we've got the boarding penalty on Sundqvist, which came down about an hour before the show started. That the decision came down. This morning we heard there was going to be a hearing on the play, and it came down. The decision came down about an hour before our show started tonight, saying that Sundqvist got a game suspension for this hit. He got 2 minutes during the game for the board on Grzelcyk, who, yeah, what we said earlier, he had a tough game.
yeah.
Grzelcyk went to the hospital, and he is in what they call it, suspended, or he's basically gone for 2 weeks. He can't come back. He'll miss the rest of the final. He's in what's that the protocol? He's in protocol. That's what they said.
Yeah.
So he's in concussion protocol. So he can't come back for at least 2 weeks. So he's done for the playoffs.
Right. The rationale on the suspension is, that Sundqvist tracked him, said from the
hit him
from
with
the
the numbers.
from the time that he got to the bottom of the circle through the hit, he the entire time was looking at Grzelcyk's numbers.
Which you know what? I mean, he's off to the side. He's like a 3/4. He's not really behind him. I have mixed feelings on this. I understand. At the time I'm like, that's a penalty. I agree with the 2 minute board. I get that. Ended up hitting from behind. 2 minute penalty, fine. I'm going back and forth on it. It's a tough suspension to take if you're Sundqvist. Aside from completely altering how you're going into the corner from the get go, and it really. They say suspensions are in place to let players know, hey, if you do this kind of thing, you'll get suspended. So hopefully it'll cut down on these kinds of things. You're never going to get this kind of hit out of the league. This is something that a player is not going to be able to avoid. Right. Sundqvist comes in. He could have peeled off. He could have, went for the puck instead of the hit. He could have done a lot of things, but he went for the check. And it's the Stanley Cup final. It's a physical series. He went for the hit. Got him in the numbers eventually, but I have a really hard time with the suspension just because of the position that Grzelcyk put himself in right before the hit. That's what's tough to take because I don't know what Sundqvist is supposed to do if he's going for the check there. If he's going to, you're allowed to check people, okay? Yeah. He wasn't directly behind him. He was off to the side, coming in 3/4 angle, okay? And then if Grzelcyk doesn't put himself in a goofy position, he's probably fine. He's lowered, and his head lowers, and he cuts left and throws the puck back right, so he's like all stretched out against the boards, and Sundqvist hit him. I think this qualifies as one of those plays where a player puts himself in a bad position, and he gets hurt because of it. And
whether he put himself in the bad position or if he stumbled, whatever,
yeah.
he was in a prone position.
It's awkward, yeah, real awkward.
And it wasn't Sundqvist didn't do anything to put him in that position,
right?
But he hit him while he's in that position.
Yeah,
and that's what when I heard today that there was going to be hearing, it felt to me like 1 game sounds about right on this hit.
Yeah. And the video stated that if you watch the Department of Player Safety video that explains why they ruled the way they did, the video states that this situation was not a case where a legal check was turned into an illegal check by the Bruins player adjusting his body at the last moment. They said that.
Yep.
They said that the reason that he got hurt had nothing to do with him changing his position at the last second. I don't know
That's
how they.
fault.
I don't know how they came to that conclusion because that's exactly what happened. That's
And
exactly. what happened.
I'll be honest with you guys. I mean, you guys are saying you're okay with it. I'm 100% against this, and I even say
I'm not. I disagree with the ruling. I don't think he should be suspended.
I don't even think it was a 2-minute penalty. I get why they called it because in real time it's hard to judge that. So I was fine with the penalty, but when Eddie O was saying, "Oh, the NHL is going to review this," I'm like, why? For it being a legal check that a guy put himself in a bad position. Listen, Grizzly, I get it. I mean, he stumbled. He didn't mean to do it. I think it was a total accident. But you watch Sundqvist's positioning, and I know I got into it with a couple people on Twitter today about this. You watch his positioning. He's where he's going to hit Grizzly is where his body would have gone if he wouldn't have stumbled, in my opinion. And if he hits his body clean, hits him shoulder to shoulder, and somebody said, well, he changed his position. He hit him up high. He could have hit him with his hip. No, he was leading with his shoulder. He was going in to hit him shoulder to shoulder. And that's a legal play. You're allowed to do that every chance you get in an NHL game. And I just feel like that would have been a completely legal check, but because of the stumble, and we talk about how quick this game is and how fast these players move, you can't expect Sundqvist to completely let up there. And I hate that play. And I think if Grizzly walks away, I don't think there's any suspension at all. And I get it. He's hurt. It sucks. And I feel bad for the guy because, like I said, I don't think he did that intentionally. But for Sundqvist to get a suspension in this is complete BS. It's a legal play if the guy doesn't stumble.
I don't. When I say I'm okay with the 2-minute penalty, I when I saw the play, I was not surprised they called a penalty on the play. The officials.
Okay, I'm with
you. Just because. Well, that's going to be called. They'll see it as a penalty. That's
real time. Yeah.
Right. That's my point. So, but yeah, I don't. And people are saying that Sundqvist had time to let up. He's 5 feet from the guy.
No, he didn't.
When he puts himself in the bad position, he is already leaning forward, committing to the hit. And I just think the DOPS got it wrong. I don't. You're 5 feet from the guy traveling at you're skating in. You're not like skating a half mile an hour. You're gonna hit the guy. It's a check in the corner. Or against the board. I don't know. I don't see. I think you're asking an awful lot of Sundqvist to be able to process that much information in a 5-foot span or less when he's traveling at the rate that he is.
Let me ask you guys: do you think that anything David Backes said had anything to do with their decision?
Who knows? I don't know. I hope not.
For those that have not seen it, I'm trying to pull up the full quote here, but Jeremy Rutherford tweeted this out last night. It was oh crap, I had it. Never mind. I'm dumb. I don't have it. Okay. It starts with, I don't think that's a hit, and this is Backes talking about the Sundqvist hit. I don't think that's a hit we want in our game. It's from behind, elevated into his head, into the glass. If that's a 2-minute penalty, I think there's going to be a shortage of defensemen in the series by the end of it. He had a couple more. I'm trying to find the rest of the quote.
Well, if that's a penalty and suspension, then why wasn't the hit on Blais on the boards where his head hit the glass? Same. It was the same thing
by Nordstrom.
Same thing. I mean, it was shoulder, but it was more shoulder, but it was still
the rest of the quote. That's in somebody else's hands. That's something I think if I'm making that hit, I'm probably watching from the bleachers for a few, but we'll see what happens with their player. I hated that. When I saw that, I thought, man, David Backes, get the hell out of here, you healthy scratch. I mean, good Lord. Like, that is not the guy was suspended 3 games earlier this year for a cheap shot. We've seen him do cheap shots when he was the captain of the Blues. And for him to compare anything he's done to that hit from Sundqvist is complete bullshit. And I think he knows it. I think that was his way of trying to get in the Department of Player Safety's head. I don't know if it worked. Maybe subconsciously it did. But, man, I saw that, and it made me really want to have a few words for David Backes.
I didn't think players were allowed to comment on officiating. I thought that was a finable thing.
Oh, they can if, They can't if
but
it's David Backes, apparently.
But you see players get fined for criticizing the officials. I guess it wasn't being critical of the officials necessarily. Backus played the least amount of minutes out of any Bruins player except for, any guesses? Grizzlick. Yeah. He played 10 minutes, 5 seconds. So he's
Well, and the crazy thing about that is Connor Clifton did get a shift until the second period in this game.
yeah, he played 16:47.
Yeah, Clifton sat on the bench the entire first period and didn't come in until the after Grizzly happened in the first period, right?
Yep.
So
yep.
But
a lot happened that period. That was a very busy period. So if Thomas isn't ready to go for Saturday's game, thinking Barbashev moves to center, and then who dresses to replace Sundqvist? McEachern?
That's who I want.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Mine too.
Yeah.
Strickland suggested Nolan too. I'm like, no. Nolan hasn't played in like a year and a half.
Yeah, but if it was Ken Hitchcock, it would be Nolan because he's got experience, right?
If it was Ken Hitchcock, it'd be Chris Thorburn.
He's a big body too, which I get, but McEachern is too, and McEachern has more skill, and more speed.
Right.
So I think it's a no-brainer.
McEachern was a big part of that winning streak. I'd love to see him back in the lineup.
And just the fact that his cousin Sean McEachern, right, is a Bruin.
Yeah.
Right? Most of his career he played with the Bruins. So
Okay.
I think he's the type of guy we need in there. Again, if Thomas can't go, seeing Robbie Fabry go in for Thomas in the last game. We saw stretches where Robbie Fabry was really bad this year. Go back to that Ottawa game that we blew, and his missed assignment. I thought he was fine. I thought he looked good.
He was fine.
Good.
He actually played a little physical.
Yeah. He was motivated. It was pretty obvious.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a big body, so there's only so much he can do. But the effort was there, so it was good.
And he was getting loose pucks a lot, which is, I think, the most you can ask for him when he's playing in a third.
And he threw his body around
right.
a little bit.
He negated at least 2 icings that I recall. Chipped in, like it was a set play where they chip it in and outraced the slow defense. So
no goals in the second. There was a double minor penalty to Connor Clifton for high sticking Tyler Bozak. Schwartz is called for goal interference during this power play, wiping out the last 140 or so of the power play. And of course, social media is outraged about this. So I want to get your thoughts on whether or not you agree with this goal interference penalty.
On Schwartz?
On Schwartz.
Totally.
Yeah, me too.
Totally.
Jeff?
For sure. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you know what's funny? The one of the common things that you hear people say is, what's Schwartz supposed to do there in that situation? I'm like, how about not run into the goalie?
Yeah, not crash the goal like that.
Yeah. If you take that angle, he tried to get out of the way. He didn't try to get out of the way really because he couldn't get out of the way. He was crashing into Rask. And I don't think the defenseman gave him enough of a shove to warrant to say that it was the defenseman that was solely responsible for that. I think Schwartz had the most responsibility there as far as trying to avoid Rask, and he cut the angle. He had nowhere to go. So if you have nowhere to go except into the goalie, then that's on you.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. He put himself in that position.
Right.
So I think that's fine. I thought both goal interference calls were fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the Blay one, he's trying to, just drive the puck to the net, and he let himself glide into Rask. I thought that could go either way. Because he is the guy that's in control of the puck. Schwartz was just crashing the net, and he followed through with his hit. And I quite honestly, I was okay with it. Put some, not that I advocate running a goalie, but if there's any time in a game when you can afford to do it, it's when you have a man advantage.
Sure.
So
and the comments on with the commentators they said that that's the kind of penalty they're okay with because it's a crash in the net kind of penalty. It's not a hook or a lazy trip or something.
David Perron.
Right. It's not where you miss an assignment, so you hook a guy or something. And I'll buy that. I mean, if the penalties if the kind of penalties you're going to get are the ones where you're busting your ass, trying to score a goal, I guess those are the penalties you can live by. But this is the second game in a row the Blues have had 5 penalties called on them. So 10 penalties against in the first 2 games. They need to cut that shit out.
Yes.
I agree. You can't keep giving Boston 5 penalties, five penalties a game.
Well,
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, they scored right away on the power play.
They did. They scored 1 goal in this game and 1 goal the first game.
They and I mean the thing with doing the goalie interference is I think it's making Tuukka Rask guess every chance the puck's coming at him.
Sure.
Oh God, is someone going to run into me? And he's a guy who's shown in the past to be very quick to lose his temper and take a stupid penalty, yell at the officials, whatever. And I think that if you can get that side of Tuukka Rask out in this series, you do it every chance you get. And I'm with you, Bill. They had a 5-on-4 advantage. Yeah, you're a tie game, and you don't want to see a penalty. But man, if you can just rattle him a little bit and get him questioning how hard people are going to be crashing his goal, you do it every time.
Rask did the old throw his hands above his head back into the net kind of thing, which it's funny when goalies get run. Every goalie does it, where they get hit and they throw their hands up and they go back into the goal, which is probably not how you would react to getting run over, is to throw your hands up. But
it's not natural.
It's not natural. It's embellishment.
Every goalie I've ever known is just
every goalie. And you know what? Officials know this. They have to. So if I was an official and I saw a goalie do that, I'd be less inclined to call an interference penalty. I really would. I'd be like, oh, maybe it wasn't quite as bad as I thought because he embellished. So, well, either way. No goals in the third. Gunnarsson did hit the post on a fantastic shot.
Yep, but what, 6 minutes?
Not much.
I
wasn't it?
Celebrated.
It was about 2 or 3 minutes off, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's about 3 minutes left.
Three and a half, something like that. Yeah, it was late.
Yeah.
I celebrated. I jumped out of my seat. Yeah, I said, wait for the horn. The horn's coming.
I did the exact same thing.
I kept saying it too. I'm like, just wait. My wife and my best friend were here, and they're both like, dude, I don't think the horn's coming. No, the horn's coming. Just wait, guys. Shut up. Listen for the horn.
Come on, Toronto.
The horn never came.
Rask thought it was in. If you look at the replay, his shoulders slumped, and he didn't react to the puck at the other side right away. Until play's still going on. I better get my head back in the game. For about maybe a good 2 seconds, I don't think he thought it was in. Shen slashes Akari's stick, and his stick breaks.
Right. So
this is one point
we did not cover in the previous game. So at the point in the in game 1, Blues are down 3-2. They get a power play. 5-on-4. Bozak's cutting through the middle, and Zdeno Chara snaps his stick in half with a fucking lumberjack.
Would have been a 5-on-3.
The tallest man in NHL history with a downward chop 10 feet in front of Steve Kazari. That cannot be missed. And that was my biggest gripe with the officials from game 1, that they missed that fucking call. Because Blues go 5-on-3, good chance they tie the game, and it's at least going to overtime.
Possibly. So yeah. Did you guys see Sean Avery's? Sean Avery did something on Instagram. He recorded this video. He was all about how there was no slash. He broke his stick on the shot, and I think I had a discussion on Twitter with a couple folks about this, and the slash breaks the stick. Did you guys? I mean, Jeff, what did you see that?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Yes. We'll get in. I have something to say about it, but yes, I'll let you make your point.
I think Avery just totally saw this wrong. I can see where someone might think that, based on the game camera, the one up high. It doesn't look really, because you can't see because Shen's body is screening it, but it seems to appear that Shen misses the stick and hits the ice, and then the stick is broken when he shoots the puck. But on the ice level camera, you can see easily that the stick, there's a down, when he slashes down, the stick hits Akari's stick, breaks the stick. Doesn't break it in half until he shoots, but right where he hit the stick, you can see there's like a seam in it, and you can see Shen's stick kind of bow, like ripple, like where it made contact with the stick. And then right when he goes to shoot it, it breaks right where Shen's stick hit his stick. Shen slashed the stick, and Shen broke the stick. It was a good call. But
okay,
based
yes.
on the call that they missed in the first game was pissed me off.
Yeah.
No, I agree. And here's my problem with it. I would be more inclined to go with what they did in game 1 and not call it. Now, 99% of the time when a stick breaks, they call it. They call a slash every time.
It was a
I hate that.
play though. I mean, it took away
Right.
a scoring chance, so that's why.
Right. And
I know exactly. And but I hate that because these sticks break so easily. And I know I'm not the only one to bitch about this on a podcast, but
I know. But
why?
how do you if you're the officials, if you're the league, do you say, well, you can slash a guy's stick and if it breaks, it's not a penalty? How do you change the rule?
It's hard.
I know it is. It's really hard.
Unfortunately, I think that it's just gonna be something that's gonna piss us off till the end of time, because back when these sticks were wood, we didn't see them snap like that on these slashes. You see it all the time now. I see it every game.
Yeah.
And it's infuriating because as a defender, someone that, I make that play that Shen makes. I take my stick and I hunker down on the other guy's stick and you let it go because but sometimes you break the person's stick and
Right.
it's like it could have already been broken from a shot before. It could have been weak from a slash, 2 minutes before that. You don't know. And it's so infuriating for that to be a penalty. But like you said, Kurt, I don't think there's any way around it. I think the referee's going to see that. They just have to call it.
I mean, how do you see a player slash another player's stick and break the stick and not call a slash? It's just a hard thing.
It's just an unfortunate thing with the sport and the technology and sticks.
It's the equipment until the sticks get stronger.
Yeah.
I don't know. Although, as a player, do you want sticks to get stronger? You need to get a power play out of it.
Well, as a defenseman who's broken many sticks, yes, I would like them to get stronger.
Lots of good saves, both ends, second, third period. Like I said, kind of a goaltending duel after the 4 goals in the first. Then overtime starts, and the Blues put on a clinic. This is that might be the best I've ever seen the Blues play over a 4-minute span ever in my life. As far as like offense on pressure,
right,
oh my god, it was
complete domination.
Oh, it was 3 minutes and 51 seconds of total ownage.
Yeah, got a line change.
Yeah,
and just everything went right.
Did Boston even like get possession of the puck? If they did, it was briefly.
Right, they did, and it was right after the Blues line change, and Steen's coming on the ice, and he cuts off the angle, then cuts to the net, gets taken down by Corrali, I think it was.
Yeah,
and that led to the extra attacker, and we never relinquished control after the extra attacker.
Yeah, delayed penalty, and then Gunnarsson scores. It's interesting because Gunnarsson said after he hit the post, he commented to Berube in the bathroom, in the locker room,
in the pissa.
He was more or less. He said, "I just need one more chance."
Yep.
And I'll be damned. He passes to Parayko. Parayko gives it back to him on the point, and he lets the shot go. Pietrangelo is screening in front, and it beats Rask. Blocker side again.
Beautiful shot.
Great view.
Yeah.
Great view here from Patrick Connor on Twitter. I'll share it with Kurt.
Yeah, I saw that.
Showing the screen set up by Pietrangelo.
Yep.
Absolutely perfect.
Was it Maroon out there that waved at it with a stick trying to deflect it? I'm like, thank God you didn't touch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's too Pietrangelo's right, whoever that is there. I thought it was Maroon.
That was a beauty shot. And just like you said, Kurt, just a well executed play. They had the pressure. That's the first time I really felt like Boston was back on their heels for an extended period.
Yeah.
And they were back on their heels that whole overtime.
Yeah, it was like they had no answer. And they were like, and it's funny because did you see the Young Page Views video of that sequence? The Barstool Sports, which we didn't talk about.
Pay attention to.
Okay, but anyway,
yeah, I get you.
The reason I say that is because somebody was videoing them. A guy from Barstool Sports, who was a Blues fan, and the Young Page Views guy was weird, but so they had the video on them, and there was a Bruins fan to their right, and the emotion on his face, it was like, oh, and you see when they had the delayed penalty, he's like, oh, his heart sank. He's just like, this is. You could tell in the emotion in his face that this game was about to end. And he just knew it, and it was painful, and he could see it coming.
Well, everybody knew it. When we had possession of that puck, like I just kept saying, it's coming, it's coming,
Yeah.
it's coming. And yeah, so it was slightly, I'll share the story from the day manner for this goal. Slightly anticlimactic because I had set the game up to record in the basement just because I want these games, in perpetuity. But apparently that record just sets it off a half second, and I heard the celebration from upstairs before I saw the puck go in.
Oh,
So I was after the third period in the intermission, I hadn't had dinner. So I went upstairs and I gotta eat something. So I wanted to make something, and I figured I'd get done making it and cooking it before so I didn't. So I was just about to finish before, and so my TV upstairs is a Roku Wi-Fi. So I'm watching on like probably a minute delay. And I'm not gonna like turn the TV off and come downstairs and miss a minute of play. So I'll wait till a commercial, and commercials don't happen overtime except for halfway. But I'll stay up here for a while, and so I saw it on a minute delay, and I didn't. Yeah.
as I said earlier, I had my friend over, and my son, we try to put him, over the regular season, we put him to bed, between first and second period typically, and he's 6 years old, and but we have to lay down with him for about 10-15 minutes. My wife and I were like, there's no way, like we even during intermission, we can't stay still that long. So we're like, you know what, you're just gonna stay up for the whole game. So he stayed up with us, and he was pretty tired. And he had I had my beer sitting on the table in the living room. We're all sitting in there. My friend's sitting on the chair. My wife and I are on the couch. My son's sitting on the floor. The dog's sitting right next to him. And the Blues score, and I jump straight up. I mean, everybody jumps up. We're screaming. My wife, highest pitch I've ever heard her yell, and freaks the kid out. So he starts screaming and yelling and crying. So that sets the dog off. So the dog jumps up, knocks my beer over. Beer goes flying across the room. And I mean, it is just mayhem in my house. I'm watching the beer flow from the can onto the floor. And I'm like, I'm not fucking cleaning that. Fuck it. I don't care. And I'm still yelling. I'm just going crazy. And my wife's like, pick the beer up. And I'm like, I'm too busy celebrating. I mean, it was mayhem in our house, but it was so worth it. I mean, that.
Go ahead. Keep talking. This background stuff.
That moment was just so. Oh my God, it was so worth it. Every single second of it.
So, did you wake up the kids? Were they still awake, or
No, they weren't here.
they weren't here?
They were here. So I was basically yelling by myself.
Yeah. Jumping up and down.
I scared my cat.
Yeah.
My cat was here. My dog was downstairs. He started barking.
Yeah.
So he celebrated too. And I opened up the front door, and I just yelled outside.
Yeah.
I don't know why I did that. I just yelled, yeah, just as loud as I could outside, expecting to get a phone call from old man Fookwire next door.
Yeah, I did. Once we've opened the back door, I yelled, "Let's go Blues!" So, but yeah, my immediate reaction was just jumping up and down like a child, and just like utter disbelief.
Yeah.
And one of the happiest moments of my Blues fandom.
Well, it was the very first Stanley Cup final game victory.
Yeah.
I mean, it happened. We're 1 for 14 now.
Yeah, hey, you know what though? I'll take it. The fact that I was able to witness that. I mentioned this on Twitter. I had a friend that I haven't talked to in 6 years. Somebody that I was friends with when I was a kid. He called me a good 20 minutes after the game. I mean, he was wasted, but he was like, he was at a bar in Portland. That's where he lives now, apparently, and he was just, dude, this means so much to me. You're the first person I wanted to call. We were the original hockey bums. I mean, that's what we did. We played street hockey. We'd come in at 6:30, eat dinner, watch the Blues game. That's what we did all the time growing up. So it was such a big deal. And just to hear the emotion in his voice, and then to scroll through Twitter, scroll through Facebook, and see what all these people are saying. This was such an unbelievable, memorable night for Blues fans.
Keith Price in the YouTube chat said, we yelled when Pujols hit that home run off of Brad Lidge. I was over at his house and that happened. We ran outside and yelled. Same kind of thing.
I was asleep for that.
So the Blues outshot the Bruins 37-20 in this game, which was almost a polar opposite of the first game. Faceoffs were dead even at 50% each. Bruins once again had 5 power plays, which we talked about, and scored on 1. This needs to be cleaned up. We had 3 ourselves, scored on none. Out hit the Bruins 50-31 in a brutally physical game. So 4 of the 5 goals Blues have scored in the series have been blocker side on Rusk. 19 Blues players have scored in the playoffs. 13 have scored more than once. That's some pretty good depth.
Well, I just think about who scored in this series. Third pairing defenseman.
Yeah, I know.
Bortuzzo, Gunnarsson,
Yep.
Clifton. Yeah, Connor Clifton. Yeah. It's
that's playoffs. I mean,
have to get it from everywhere.
You got I mean, the top guys get shut down. The other guys got to chip in. I mean, we've talked about the officiating enough to. I mean, I was going to say that the officiating in the NHL is typical to me. I mean, they get calls wrong. They miss a lot of stuff. Sometimes it favors one team. Sometimes it favors the other. I don't know. It's as long as it's like shitty for both sides. I'm like, it is what it is. It's always been that way. So people always talk about let's fix it, fix officiating. You can't fix it.
See, it's funny. My wife was asking me. She was asking that the same thing. That it seems like they're leaning towards Boston, and yeah, it seems that way. But the way that I see it, and maybe I'm reading into it, it's I think that it's so much easier for the officials, and it's not done intentionally. I think it's a completely psychological thing that the fans react. You hear the fans just get on you. And, they're all calling penalties. You got 19,000 people in the stands calling a penalty before your arm goes up. And I think it's just easy for the official to hear that and then, yeah, that's got to be a penalty and throw the arm up. Again, not intentional. But I think when the home crowd is as raucous as Boston is, as San Jose was, and as how St. Louis is going to be the next 2 games, I think that's what happens. And so we'll see if that continues, that trend continues here in St. Louis for games 3 and 4. But I think it's completely just something that it's an anomaly in sports that you're not going to be able to stop. You're going to see that with the home team. And that's part of the reason they call it, home ice advantage.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if the Blues get a few calls here at home ice. Briefly, which I didn't know this until you added it, Jeff, to the show notes. The disrespect for the Blues personalities in Boston. Number of things happened. This is an article by Ben Fred, right?
Yeah. Ben Fredrickson. Yep.
Yeah. So that was kind of. But for those that didn't know, it's Jackman was asked to step off the elevator so Belichick could get on. Bill, you haven't heard this? Okay,
I've not.
Yeah, apparently the elevator was crowded, so Jackman was asked to get off, and so Belichick could get on. And a St. Louis cameraman had a rat in his toilet in his hotel room, and Berube was asked for credentials when arriving at TD Ameritrade.
The Blues employees had popcorn thrown at them all game.
Yeah,
that were in attendance.
So fucking, that's fucking Boston. I mean, Jesus Christ. That's why the whole country hates the fucking sports town.
And fucking Barstool.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll talk about that real quick. If many might not have heard this if you're on social media, because it was primarily that where we heard about this, I think. But Barstool Sports sponsored the rally towels for Game 2 in Boston, and Barstool Sports is a Boston-based blog site, very popular. Very, very sexist and misogynistic. But basically a bunch of assholes that run the place. Yeah. They degrade women. They openly, right? And they pride themselves on it. And it's so. And there's all kinds of examples of this happening. They've staff members have left the building crying because they're it's a verbal sexual assault kind of thing. So And so the Boston Bruins, they offered, I guess Barstool came to them, I guess, or maybe they came to Barstool, I don't know, about sponsoring the towels. And so their name and logo was on the towels for game 2. And then there was a bit of an uproar on social media about it. A lot of Boston people, too, were kind of like annoyed by it, I guess. But
Well, I mean, when they're not even allowed with press credentials or allowed to really be a part of any kind of coverage for sports, they're mostly a secondary, like a blog site, like you said. They're not ESPN.
No.
They're not, they're not Fox Sports. They're not anything like that. And for Boston, for the Bruins to allow them to sponsor, I mean, I said this to you, Kurt, like, why? You're telling me you couldn't find anyone else to sponsor those rally towels
I know.
in all of Boston? I mean, come on, use your brain, Boston Bruins.
Yeah, I don't get it. If somebody knew somebody and did somebody a favor, I don't know. It was
that El Presidente guy can suck a lemon.
He's a fucking prick. He's a prick with money. He sold the majority interest in the Barstool too, though, to somebody for like $15 million or whatever it is.
They attacked Jeff Jones, friend of the show.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was just looking it up.
They asked him to come on the radio call in, right, and they just attacked him the whole time
because he chirped them about their misogyny and that, and so he said I'll come on and talk about it, and they chirped him about the the bank robbery bullshit,
right?
And did you see the final thing that he posted? The DM that they sent him.
Oh yeah. He shared the DM. Yeah,
Jesus.
That was a fucking. And this is Barstool Sports in a nutshell. Right. Read it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and read it. So this is after Jones went on the show,
and this is them thanking him for coming on the show.
Hey, I just want to say I appreciate you coming onto our radio show and speaking your side. I wanted to tell you to finally succumb to your base instinct and kill yourself. I promise your family won't care or notice.
So that
shit.
And they were allowed to sponsor the rally towels at game 2, Boston Bruins.
Good on you, Bruins, you fuckheads.
Jesus Christ. It's just it's a bad idea. Nobody in the Bruins organization came forward and said, it's probably a bad idea.
Right. That'd be like if the Blues decided to let Art Lippo sponsor our towels.
Right. How many bans from Twitter has he got this year? 3, 4?
Yeah. I mean, seriously, it's fucking Boston, one of the major cities in the United States. The fucking Dunkin' Donuts has David Pasternak in national TV ads, and you can't get somebody like that, and you have to go with this fucking terrible organization.
Yeah,
it's just
I don't know.
It's a disgrace.
I don't know. I would love for a reporter to talk to the Bruins about it and ask them why. What was the decision making process? I'm not that it's a huge news deal. It's just I'm curious. I mean, it is what it is. It's a bad decision to associate yourself with this blog, this shitty, sexist, racist blog site.
Yeah, your brother has it right. I mean, it's called locker room talk. That's exactly what they do, and it's the fact that it's publicized and people. I don't know. I mean, listen, if you like it, that's fine. I'm not going to rag anyone who reads Barstool. It's just, it's not for me. And I'm a guy who loves the locker room talk. I show up to hockey, and that's one of my favorite parts about hockey is getting together with my buddies and just saying whatever the hell I want in the locker room. But to see it on a site like that, and for people to just act like children, just not my thing at all.
I pulled up Barstool Sports here, and they got articles on the front page on the column here. People are upset. The first curvy Love Island contestant, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of stuff about boobs in here, which, that's your thing. More power to you. But
it's kind of the ultimate bro culture. Right?
Yeah. And I'm sure some folks find it entertaining, and that's fine. But the whole point is the Bruins probably shouldn't have paired up with them.
No. And hey, Jeff Jones, if you're listening, we love you. Because you're always welcome to come on our show.
He was part of the championship Let's Go Blues Radio trivia team there.
That's right. You're always going to be a member.
That's a nice story.
Let's Go Blues Radio Brotherhood, my friend.
Defending champions. Come from behind, thrilling last-second victory.
Over two guys sued to rename their podcast.
two, two guys gonna rename their podcast soon.
I might have to
We
send
hope.
that to
We
them.
hope.
That's their new name. They're two guys soon to rename their podcast.
That's funny. That's a good one. That's a keeper. That's a beauty fish. All right. Anything else, guys? On to game 3 in St. Louis. I'm excited. You guys, you're going to game 4, Bill.
I'm going to game 4. I could not pass the opportunity to see a Stanley Cup final in our home building, a game. Although I will tell you that I was pretty damn worried going into last night's game, because if they come out of there 2-0, I may have just paid a hell of a lot of money for soul crushing defeat in an eventual sweep.
Yeah.
But so that extra relief on Gunny's goal last night was palpable in my household. But yeah, no, I do have tickets to game 4. So game 3 is Saturday. Going to be a big sitting on the couch watching sports day. You got Liverpool in the Champions League final in the afternoon. Get a couple-hour break before the Blues Bruins.
I'm supposed to. There's a birthday party I was invited to about 5:30. I don't think I'll be going to that.
Yeah.
So
So last night I was supposed to have a softball game at 5:45, and so I would have got done. It was on the hill. Would have got done, 5:45 or 6:45. Got home about 7:15, and luckily I got stuck in an impromptu meeting, and it started pouring right when I was getting ready to head out, and they canceled it. So
nice.
Worked out very well for me.
Yeah, so I might be heading down to Enterprise on Saturday myself. I heard there's going to be a large contingent of people right outside the arena watching the game, so I may head down there for that. We'll see.
On the wall or something.
Are they on a big screen?
That's what I hear. I don't know if it's true, but that's what I was told by the jerks over at Blues Hockey Podcast.
Oh, I thought that was their tailgate. I thought they were doing a tailgate, just them. Just those, just those two guys, just by themselves.
Is that in the parking lot?
Nobody else is even allowed. You show up, they kick you out. No, it's just for us.
Blues Hockey Podcast only. So yeah, I don't know. I didn't hear about about that.
I could be wrong, but either way, I'll probably be out.
Maybe it is. I don't know. I didn't hear about it. I know they're going to have their usual tailgate. Don't they the shots for goals and stuff like that?
That's game time, right?
Right, game time.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Game time.
And but I didn't hear anything about a big screen watch party, but that'd be kind of cool.
Well, keep that in mind too. Let's give them a little plug. St. Louis Game Time, for those of you attending the game or attending the rally before. That this is first time St. Louis Game Time is able to cover the Stanley Cup Finals. So make sure you check them out and pick up a paper of your own, because that's going to be something historic for you.
That's true. That's a keeper edition.
It's first time they've printed in June.
Yeah.
It's June Saturday.
And there was only one today in Blues history too. And it was a trade. There's not a lot. There's slim pickings this time of year. Okay, I think that'll do it unless you guys got something else.
Fuck David Backes.
Yeah, David Backes. Whatever. Whatever.
Yeah, I will say on my one thought on David Backes, and we can close on this if you want. I want it to happen here.
Oh, the cup, the ceremony.
If the Blues win, I want it to happen here, more so for David Backes to have to realize that he walked away from this, and fuck him.
Yeah, I think if he was here though, things would have been a little different. He $6 million he offered or whatever. Yeah. So, but yeah, I get it. Yeah, same thing. He's I could have been a part of maybe this.
Yeah.
Josh Webster says I want to see Petro and Backes go at it.
Like in a fight? I think Petro
Yeah.
beat that.
Probably.
Yeah.
Backus.
Give me Maroon and Bacchus.
Maroon and Bacchus, a big good one. Yeah. All right.
Well, good show, guys. And hey, I think we'll probably be back before the end of the Stanley Cup final. Right. Well,
Right, so it's
here's
after games.
as far as I'm concerned,
Yeah.
it depends on when the series is over. I'll be here for game 4, and then 5 and 6 I'll be in Florida, and then I'll be back for 7 if there's a game 7.
So when do you leave?
Let's see, I leave on the I think I leave on the 5th. I leave on the 5th, so Wednesday next week.
So no show Tuesday night?
We would, let's say this game Saturday and Monday, we would probably do a show Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. I might not be here Tuesday night because we leave early Wednesday morning. We'll see how it goes. I'm not sure. I'm not sure yet. We'll see.
Bill,
You driving or you're flying?
Flying.
all right.
Yeah,
Let's go ahead and figure this out. And we're doing this live on air, so that way there are witnesses. Kurt, if you can't make it, Bill, would you be interested in possibly trying to do something just you and me?
Probably.
And
Kurt doesn't do anything for the show.
I can always,
No, he doesn't.
I can always like chime in for a few minutes from Florida or something too. So
Yeah, we could even broadcast it on my YouTube channel if we had to, and then I could post it for you.
I would, but you can just log into the show's account and do that because it's a mess with the stats and everything to move stuff. It doesn't work.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and give me the login right now?
Right now on the
here.
air. The username is no fucking way, and the password is go fuck yourself.
Well, there you go, folks. Go ahead and check that out.
No, we'll figure something out. Maybe
Okay.
Tuesday. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Thanks for listening, everyone. For Jeff Ponder and Bill Day, I'm Kurt Price. That will conclude this week's broadcast of Let's Go Blues Radio. Until next time, everyone, let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
Suck it, David Bacchus, and let's go Blues.
The Chiefs are at home tonight against Sport at the War Memorial at 8. Good seats are still available. I think that went very well.
Thank you for listening to Let's Go Blues Radio. Now take off, hosers.
Well, there's 90 minutes of your life you'll never get back. Sorry.
St. Louis Blues, St. Louis Blues. Have you heard the news about our St. Louis Blues? They've only just begun, they're on their way to #1. Now there's no more blues for our St. Louis Blues. The Blues are on the ice tonight again. They're rough and tough and got the stuff.